go through something like with my family, like
Right.
the only people that can make me mad is if I love you.
Oh God, yes.
If I love you, you can make me mad. If I don't give a fuck about you, I don't give a fuck
You
what
can't
you
affect
say,
me at all.
what you do, how you
Right.
feel. Like fuck you, eat dick,
Right.
die. But
The people that you love can crush you for real.
right, the
Like,
people that I love, like if I fuck with you and I feel like it's genuine, it's gonna be like, God damn, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some of the shit you feel like a rapper just can do to avoid goddamn just a situation, any type of situation?
What
Like
they,
these days, like that you gotta do different these days. Like since you came home, you see like, nah, I gotta do this now. I can't be doing that type shit no more.
man, the best thing I can tell a nigga is, man, stay out the way. Take care of your business and duck off.
Yeah.
Because them feds ain't gonna play with you. And a nigga in the street that don't got nothing ain't gonna play with you.
Facts. Facts.
Ain't now one of them gonna play with
Facts.
you. So if you got something going on and you prospering in it and you wealthy, you making a difference for your family, for yourself, your future, man, do the right thing, man. Stay out the way, man, because get what? That's all I
At 33 years old, Ricky Hampton is sitting on a 6-figure civil judgment he cannot pay. His bookings have dried up. His record deal takes a cut of everything he earns. And the man who built his whole brand around the finesse game just got finessed by life itself. This is the story of how it happened, and why the talent alone was never going to be enough to hold it together. Ricky Hampton grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. If you know anything about that city, you already know what that means. Memphis doesn't produce comfortable artists. It produces artists shaped by real pressure, real scarcity, and a street code that doesn't bend for anybody. 3-6 Mafia built an entire subgenre out of that city's energy. Young Dolph turned street credibility into an independent empire before his life was cut short. Yo Gotti built one of the most consistent careers in rap by never pretending to be anything other than exactly where he came from. Finesse2Tymes came up in that same tradition. He wasn't performing in school, talent shows, dreaming about a record deal. He was living the life he would eventually rap about. And that authenticity, the kind you cannot fake and cannot buy, is what made his music hit, the way it did when the world finally caught up to him. But the music didn't come easy. The come-up wasn't overnight. He spent years building a local reputation show by show, recording in whatever studio time he could access, letting the music earn its own respect in a city that has a long memory and a sharp eye for who's real. Memphis doesn't hand out cosigns to people who don't deserve them. When the local tastemakers started putting finesse on, that was earned. And earned credibility in Memphis travels. It moves into other southern markets. It gets picked up by the people who know that a Memphis artist doesn't get real love unless they're legitimate. But here's the chapter that most people gloss over when they talk about Finesse2Tymes. Before most of the country ever heard his name, this man was already in and out of jail, multiple stints, a recurring cycle that kept interrupting his trajectory at the worst possible moments. Drug charges, weapons charges. Every time the momentum was building, every time something real was starting to materialize, he caught a case. And the damage of each arrest wasn't just the time lost inside. It was everything that collapsed around him while he was gone. Fans who were just starting to discover him moved to whoever dropped something new that week. Playlist placements evaporated. Potential collaborations died quietly because nobody waits indefinitely for an artist who isn't available. Every single arrest wasn't just a pause button on his career, it was a reset that dropped him further back than where he started. And the brutal irony is that the talent never went anywhere. Every time Finesse came home, the voice was still there, the pen was still sharp. But the industry doesn't wait for talent, it follows momentum. And momentum that gets broken that many times is genuinely hard to rebuild without real resources and the right people in your corner. Then his real moment arrived. Songs started connecting beyond Memphis, beyond the South, beyond the regional walls that contain most street rap artists. Clips went viral. Comment sections filled up with people who had never heard his name 3 months before, acting like they'd been rocking with him for years. The algorithm found him. The energy was undeniable. And that kind of organic buzz catches specific attention. It caught the attention of J. Prince. If you know the real history of hip-hop, you know what that name means. J. Prince built Rap-A-Lot Records from nothing in Houston. he helped shape the careers of Scarcious, UGK, Bun B, and a roster of artists that defined an entire era of Southern rap. His influence in both the music industry and the streets runs deeper than most people will ever fully understand. When J. Prince puts his stamp on you, it's not just a business transaction, it's a statement about who you are and where you belong in the culture. For a man who had spent years grinding with no major support, going in and out of jail and rebuilding from scratch every time, that cosign had to feel like everything. Of course you're signing. Of course the excitement drowns out whatever voice might normally tell you to slow down and read every single line carefully. The deal Finesse signed with Mob Ties was reportedly a 360 deal. For anyone who doesn't know what that means in practice, a standard deal takes a percentage of your music revenue. A 360 deal takes a percentage of everything: touring, merchandise, endorsements, and appearances, all of it. Every dollar that flows through your career has the label's hand on part of it. The reality for an artist who signs without fully understanding the terms is that you can have songs with millions of streams, sold-out shows, and still be struggling financially because the structure means most of that money was already spoken for before it reached your account. Finesse walked into that negotiation at a moment when he finally had the buzz, but was financially behind where he should have been. Years of interrupted momentum meant no savings, no leverage, and no management team with enough power to push back on unfavorable terms. He had a hot name and real need. That combination, excitement plus flashing financial pressure, is exactly how artists end up agreeing to terms a calmer, more secure version of themselves would have walked away from. The 360 deal became a ceiling on everything he could build. When the checks came in and the math didn't match what he expected, the motivation to pour everything into rollouts that weren't financially rewarding naturally wore down. That's not laziness, that's a rational response to a structure that wasn't built with his long-term interests as the priority. And the bookings started drying up. Not all at once, that's not how this works. It was gradual, like a slow leak you don't notice until the tire is flat. Headlining slots at real venues got replaced with supporting roles at smaller events. Fees dropped. Then certain markets stopped calling altogether. Promoters run numbers before they book anyone. When an artist's social media engagement plateaus, when new music rollouts slow down, when legal headlines keep attaching themselves to their name in search results, the risk calculation changes. Promoters choose the safer option even when the talent isn't comparable. The infrastructure of his career was quietly deteriorating while he was still culturally relevant enough that most people assumed everything was fine. That gap between public perception and private reality is one of the most painful places an artist can exist. Then came the decision that made everything worse. A promoter came through with a booking. Standard deal, negotiate the fee. The promoter builds marketing and ticket sales around your name, you show up and perform, everyone gets what they paid for. What allegedly happened instead was that Finesse collected the booking money and didn't show up. And it wasn't a standard no-call, no-show. He reportedly sent his brother to the venue in his place. His brother, not the artist whose name was on every flyer, whose face was in every promotional post, whose draw was the only reason people bought tickets. The promoter lawyered up and filed suit. The damages sought reflected the full scope of what collapsed. Not just the booking fee, but marketing costs, ticket refund liability, projected revenue loss, and reputational damage in their market. Independent promoters don't have corporate balance sheets to absorb losses like that. The court sided with the promoter. Six-figure judgment against Finesse2Tymes, on record, permanent, and he cannot pay it. The music revenue, after Mob Ties takes their percentage, isn't generating that kind of cash flow. The bookings have slowed too much for show money to fill the gap, and that judgment is sitting there accruing interest, capable of intercepting any meaningful income the moment his revenue picks back up. It's a trap that closes tighter the longer it stays unresolved. People online say he brought it on himself, and on the promoter situation specifically, the accountability is real. The court was clear. There were real victims, the promoter, the fans who showed up, everyone whose night was built around a name that didn't deliver. That's not something context can fully excuse. But if that's where the analysis stops, you miss the larger picture. There is a direct line between signing a deal you didn't fully understand and eventually making a desperate financial decision. There is a direct line between having your career interrupted by jail multiple times with no infrastructure to preserve what you built and reaching a place where your judgment gets compromised by accumulated pressure. These aren't excuses, they're the environment. The music industry has always been structured to benefit the people who already have leverage over the people coming in with nothing but talent. The mob ties contract is enforceable. The court judgment is valid. None of it was designed with Ricky Hampton's long-term interest as the priority. That's the real tragedy. Not just the lawsuit, not just the contract. A genuinely talented artist from one of the most important cities in hip-hop, history had every tool he needed to build something lasting. And at every critical moment, the system made sure those tools were just slightly out of reach. At 33, this story isn't finished. People have come back from worse. But the road back is narrow, and it requires resources and support he's going to have to fight hard to find. The talent is still there. Memphis gave him that, and nobody can take it back. Whether everything else can finally align long enough to let that talent breathe, that question still doesn't have a clean answer. Drop a comment. Do you think Finesse2Tymes can rebuild from here? Or is the combination of the deal and the judgment too much to come back from?